Welcome to the Hellmouth. Hope everybody's 5x5. This is Major Slayage, Ket and Arik rewatch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. My name is Arik. To my right, your left, my fantastic, ferocious, funny, fast on her feet, and foxy wife and co-host. You know her as half of the powerhouse duo that is Kim and Ket Stay Alive. Maybe my favorite person in the entire universe, Ketryn Porter.
Is such a coincidence because you're my favorite person in the entire universe. Can you believe it?
That really worked out well for us.
Yeah. Also, did you skip E?
I did E last season. I'm just jumping around.
Just jumping around.
I like alliteration. I'm not committed. I won't be fenced in by the order of the alphabet.
Okay.
That song does not rule how I think about you.
Okay. All right. That's fair. But I do require alliteration for every introduction.
You're going to get it when you get it, and you'll like it. What's up? Welcome. Thank you. We're here for episode 3 of the second season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, School Hard.
Bad title.
Bad title. It sounds like Frankenstein is describing
or like cave people.
Yeah.
School hard. Like it's
fire bad,
yeah.
School hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
same idea.
Like it.
It's clearly a reference to the John C. Reilly film Walk Hard,
Sure.
which wouldn't come out for several years.
Yeah.
What do you think of the episode?
This show is just getting so good. And like, it's just what we take Spike for granted, you know, or not. I mean, not we love Spike, but like seeing his origin is just so fun.
Yeah, I didn't remember how he showed up or when he showed up. I'm frankly blown away and delighted that we got him this early.
Yeah.
Because he's one of my favorite characters. Again, I know seasons 5 through 7 very well. I haven't revisited these early seasons in many years. So this was I was just tickled.
Yeah, and I'm
to
just
see him.
thinking about how excited the showrunners must have been, like at every take of just going like, is this going to work? Like, is this chemistry going to work? And then just being like, holy shnikes.
He's just the best thing on the show. He just breathes so much. Him and Drusilla. I think Juliet Lando, amazing as well.
Yeah.
We'll get into all of that. I will say, I really like this episode, and I think it ends really strong, and it's got some great stuff in it. I feel like the first act, I was a little nervous. The plot is kind of a Saved by the Bell, Saved by the Bell kind of plot, like a Boy Meets World, like a real sitcom-y. We got to keep my mom away from the principal at the school event. Like it just felt kind of goofy. But just at the moment I started to get weary of that is when things really kicked off. And so I was in,
I agree.
Again, felt like I was in good hands.
I think Ketryn and I are both overruling that stance. Overruled.
All right, now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Marital Grievances. How have I wronged you in recent days, my love?
Other than making me record this episode in the morning, you're good for now.
Yes, we usually record these in the evening. We've both got busy weekends, so we are up at it's very early for Ketryn, reasonable hour for me. But we are, in fact, recording in the morning. So we'll see how this affects our energy. Maybe we'll be great. Maybe we'll hate it. Maybe we'll adapt this as our go-to plan. It's an experiment. We're going to see how it works. But that's why we're in our PJs.
That happening. Adopting this as our go-to plan. I'm just not as functional in the morning. Like I'm not fully online.
But you're not great late in the day either.
Yeah.
You got a sweet spot from about 12:30 to 3:15 where you're like really pumping on all cylinders.
Yeah. That's those are my hours. So like, what does that make me? I'm not a morning person, a night owl. I'm a
early afternoon, but you're a lunch person.
I'm a lunch lemur.
You're a lady who lunches.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, right, so it was really fun. We're watching the episode and we see Buffy and Joyce in their pajamas. I was like, oh, no, we did this totally for that reason. We're matching the pajama theme of the show. If you're enjoying this so far and anticipate liking what's to come, please click that little thumbs up there. Do like Spike. Smash that subscribe button. And, check out our Patreon, where we've actually got a couple announcements to make regarding our Patreon. So $5 a month gets you everything we have to offer. But what we have to offer has changed a little bit. And I wanted to be upfront about that. So what's changed is the audio version of our podcast, which used to be a Patreon perk, is now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other places. You can now listen to the audio version of this for free. In fact, some of you are probably listening to this right now. And so, we have to, in addition to like button, subscribe button, leave us a review, 5 stars, all that's relevant now.
We're only accepting 5 stars.
So yeah, so wherever you're enjoying this, please let whatever that platform is know that you're enjoying it. That just helps us reach more people, invite more people to the party. So we've, in a sense, taken something off of Patreon that people used to get as a perk. What you still get is the watch-alongs, where we do a reaction video in real time to every episode as we watch it. We're adding a new perk, which is Trivia Crypt.
Yeah.
We're going to do a special mini-sode just for Patreon about every episode. It will come out the week after our episode comes out because we have to have time to put that together. But basically, we're going to be doing a little mini deep dive into behind-the-scenes fun facts, trivia, things that we learned about the episode after we watched it.
Might even be some trivia about ourselves if something comes up.
Trivia Crypt can be trivia of any kind.
Yeah.
Probably gonna keep the sports trivia to a minimum.
Oh, please.
But there's gonna be trivia of all kinds, and that's just for you Patreon subscribers. $5 a month gets you everything. We have an exciting event coming up, and we'll remind people about this as it comes. We're gonna do a live watch along.
Right. We're doing a live watch along
of why are you talking at the same time as me? Do you want to do it?
I don't remember. I was joking that I don't remember.
We're doing a live watch along of I Know What You Did Last Summer, starring Buffy herself.
I Know What You Did Last Summer, starring Sarah Michelle Gellar, who's also starring as Buffy.
And when does that take place?
Let's say it together.
July
16th.
July 16th. So for our $5 members on Patreon, we'll send you a link. You can watch with us live. It's going to be 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. We're going to watch I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I haven't seen since it was in the theaters.
I truly haven't either.
So I generally know what it's about, but it will be fun and surprising. So, yeah, and you'll be able to chat with us. We'll be able to see your comments. So if you've got fun jokes, observations, questions for us, type that in. We'll read those questions and respond in real time. But it's going to be a party. They do these watch-alongs over at KK Sam on their Patreon, and they're always a lot of fun. So you've got time, July 16th. Be a member before then. Yeah, so that's the big news around that Trivia Crypt. Free podcast episodes everywhere. Watch-alongs are still there, and the live watch-along July 16th. All right, We are caught up. Would you like to do a spell for us?
Yes. So another thing that I will put on our Patreon is a scan of what this actual spell is. But I thought I would share a spell that I actually wrote for a friend that I felt was appropriate for Spike and his new beginning, giving him a fresh start in Sunnydale. So I'm going to light some copal incense first.
Is that word you said? Copal?
Copal.
Not cobalt.
No, copal is a resin from a tree.
Okay.
And it is used in spiritual ceremonies quite often because it is a super clear of negative energy.
Okay. So it functions similar to a sage.
Yeah, it does. But it's also like very regenerative.
Okay.
So as we're trying to have a fresh start. So I will read this spell to you for those of you that are not on our Patreon. You can do that.
Write it down real fast.
Or you can do that thing where you can skip to the spell or whatever, and you can write it down as I say it. But if you're on our Patreon, there'll be a scan of it. So this is a spell written for a new start. It is best performed on a new moon, since that is a literal lunar fresh start. You will need copal incense, which we have right here for regeneration, a red candle to enhance power, some Florida water. That is not water from Florida. It is a blessed water, some sea salt, and a pen and paper. Step 1 is that you are going to light the copal incense, let it permeate the room, breathing it in with deep breaths. Step 2.
It does smell nice, by the way.
Yeah. Step 2, light the red candle. Imagine the flame as the spark within yourself roaring to life. Step 3, pour the Florida water salt mixture into your hands. Rub it over your body, focusing on your chakras. Imagine it literally washing away negativity and stagnation. Step 4, write down all the ways in which you're a more evolved person than you were before. Step 5, burn the paper. Imagine the flame forging these traits like a blacksmith forges a sword. Step 6, look into the flame and repeat this spell 3 times, 3 times. I can't go back to where I was, nor would I want to. I'm no longer that being. I'm something more, something new. It is my shadow self that wants me to go back, my darkness that shines its void on my lack. I am a goddess with power and pride. The usurper of her throne has died.
That is quite lovely. Did you come up with the poem at the end yourself?
Yep, wrote the whole thing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so there you go. So I decided that I'm okay sharing some spells from my personal grimoire if they are appropriate to the episode. So if I do share from my personal grimoire, I'll allow you to scan that just
Great.
for our patrons.
That sounds good. Well, everyone be sure and get that and report back. Are you doing the spell? Do you like it? How did it work for you? What did you think of it? We would tell us in the comments or send us an email, majorslayagepod@gmail.com. We'll read those there as well.
Yeah. I guess you can ask me questions too, like if you have them, like if I'm sharing this kind of stuff and anything doesn't make sense to you, you can reach out, I guess. That's fine. Eric will just tell me if somebody has a question.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so we want to be very accessible to you. One of the things we enjoy most about getting to do this is interacting with people. There's a lot of fun conversations that happen in the comments of the YouTube videos, on the TikTok videos. Throw us an email.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool. That's fun. I didn't think about that.
It is time to kick off our episode discussion of School Hard.
Here we go. We open with our favorite little squirt, our little principal, really asserting his authority. He says, "Don't think of me as your pal. I say think of me as your judge, jury, and executioner."
Well,
what a turd.
You can't spell principal without pal. So he's already way off the rails.
Such a dork.
And I realize he reminds me of someone like physically and in demeanor. And now I can't unsee it. He looks and acts like Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
From the Trump administration.
I mean, they'd definitely be absolute besties.
Well, we actually know someone who went to high school with Stephen Miller.
Fucking believe that.
And he ran for class president on a platform of, I'm tired of this is a real story.
This is like,
and this can be found on the internet.
Yeah.
It's not just our friend who told us this. He ran for a school president on a platform of, I'm tired of being told not to leave litter around. That's what we have janitors for.
Yeah.
That's literally and now this person is one of the most powerful people in our country.
And do you know who his campaign manager was for that campaign?
Principal Snyder.
Yep. Sorry, I should have saved that for Trivia Crypt.
His stunt double. Stunt double.
Jesus Christ. So we also meet Sheila, who is being put on the same disciplinary plane as Buffy, who allegedly burned down a gym, not this gym, and is skipped some classes. Really? Do we think Buffy is the one kid in school skipping the most classes? Guess what Sheila did? She stabbed the horticulture teacher with gardening shears. That is not go to detention, ma'am. That is go to jail.
Directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Yeah, it's wild that this girl is still allowed to be in school after an incident like that.
She fully confesses to it. She's like, Snyder thinks it was a trowel, gardening trowel. She's like, no, correction. It was something much sharper and scarier. It was gardening shears. This bitch is nuts.
But looking on the bright side, how excited were you that Sunnydale offers a horticulture class?
So excited. Like, I feel like I would have thrived in Sunnydale. I would have definitely been a Scooby. I would have definitely been a theater major, and I definitely would have been like in horticulture class.
Did Sunnydale have a swim team?
They did have a swim team.
This place has everything you love.
And I'm going back to Sunnydale.
They had a cute little pig mascot.
Oh my God. They got eaten. Don't talk about that.
No, have they not replaced Herbert?
I don't think so. You think Snyder is going to take care of a cute, adorable little animal?
No, that was definitely
school spirit.
That was a Flutie era relic.
That was a Flutie era thing that has died. That Snyder killed, like the pig. So here's the problem. It's parent-teacher night coming up, and Snyder is like putting the two baddest girls in school in charge of it to make it nice. And if they don't, he's going to be, I don't know, more mad. I
think
know.
there's expulsion on the table, but he promises if they do this, then he'll go easy on them when he reports to their parents about how they're doing. Although I think the police report about stabbing a teacher probably is going to say more than whatever he might be able to tell Sheila's
And Snyder
parents.
fucking loves the police. Like, I don't know why he's not like.
I don't get what motivates him, because it sounds like he's setting them up to fail because he wants to discipline them, but it sounds like they're both already in enough trouble he could discipline them anyway. Yeah. And it also, like, there's no nerds at this school that want to set up streamers and fill up punch bowls that you could get to do this enthusiastically.
Like, I can name one. Her name is Willow.
Right. So I don't quite get this guy's angle. He just wants to fuck with people.
Yeah, he's not going to expel you for stabbing a teacher, but if your crudité board is not cut properly, you're out of here. So stupid. Buffy and Sheila, walk outside. Buffy's like, so let's coordinate. And Sheila's like, no, I'm going to go hang out with my friend Meat Pie. Meat Pie. Do you think that's his given Christian name?
I wouldn't want to venture a guess, but we do have a friend named Meathead in Wales.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility. Although I don't know that's not on his passport doesn't say Meathead, probably.
We don't know. Yeah. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, ostensibly. I haven't investigated.
Maybe it's pronounced Methed, and it's been mispronounced his whole life. Poor thing.
Meathed.
Meathed. Yeah. Oh my God, we're calling him Meathed when we go back home. Okay. Oh, I just said go back home. Where? There is a spectrum of outfits as the Scoobies join Buffy. Willow is killing it, and Xander is killing me with this outfit. And then Xander proceeds to jinx the parent-teacher night the way that this guy does all the time by saying, I'm sure everything will be fine and nothing will go wrong.
And I'm almost always right. And with the few times I'm not, it has nothing to do with the fact that I said something.
Maybe.
I'm not mentally ill, so I don't believe in jinxes.
Maybe.
So yeah, you're gonna talk about these outfits in greater detail later in the show. Okay. Yeah.
So
I'm not gonna lie and pretend I didn't wear shirts like Xander was wearing in my youth. Now, I didn't wear them in high school, but I probably in junior high when I was still figuring out what I dressed like. The oversized print shirt, button up was in the mix.
There's just something about that. I'll talk about it later. All right. So the jinx was jinxed because the very next scene is a new resident of Sunnydale crashing through the Sunnydale sign, which we learn the population is 38,500. And out steps Spike. Home sweet home, he says.
Rocking a Mac from Always Sunny duster.
Yes. And honestly, Mac wishes.
Yeah. No, Mac is wearing a Spike duster.
Yeah, 1,000%. Okay, so let's go down to the vampire lair in the sewers or wherever they live. I don't know.
They're in a warehouse now.
A warehouse, yeah. The kid is back. How do we just get him out of here? Isn't it past his bedtime?
And he's sitting there like Kermit the Frog, like he's like doesn't move because the puppeteer that's working him can't move around. So he's just there with his little legs flopped over.
Really weird. And they didn't look like his legs.
That's what I'm saying. He looks like a Muppet.
Yeah, like it just... Do you think they weren't his legs?
Does that kid even have legs?
What is going on?
We did see him walking Buffy down into the sewers last season.
Yeah, so. I don't know.
But it's weird. And there's reasons for it. We can get into it more in Trivia Crypt. But I guess this kid was growing a lot. So they had to really sit him down. They couldn't let him stand because it would be too obvious that he'd grown between seasons or between takes, frankly.
But can't they just say oh, his power is growing and so is he?
Yeah, he's the anointed one. So he could have special properties where he doesn't have to stay trapped in a
but also
doll body.
Let's not
let's not justify him being around more.
Let's not.
When life hands you lemons, you write Spike into the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we also learn that there's a little competition for whoever kills the Slayer gets to be the new master, and the power of Saint Vigius will be at its peak at this time. The night we know that it's the night of the parent-teacher
It's actually not. It's the parent teacher night. It's Thursday. St. Vigius is Saturday.
And you're right, because you're
Jumps
totally
the
right.
gun.
He jumps the gun and he says that later on. You're right. But anyway, I'm very curious about St. Vigius. So I think I want to like do a little bit of a deep dive for our trivia crypt, because I don't necessarily know that St. Vigius is real. Maybe he is. But Eric, you asked like, what is the mechanism by which
a saint is also a vampire?
Could also be a vampire. My thing is, he's canonized immediately after his death without the church knowing
that he had been vamped.
That's
the only way that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's got to be what it is.
I mean, it's as confusing to me as how there's a former Jedi named Count Dooku. Was he a count while he was a Jedi and retained his title? Or did he become a count after he left the Jedi Order? I've always found that confusing. I've never found a good reason. So a vampire saint to me lives in the same headspace.
But I'm very curious about it and I find it creative. And if it isn't a real thing, it should be. So I'll be writing that script.
Okay.
Spike comes in and he immediately dresses down these fucking vampires with various awesomeness. Whereas Mac's dad.
Yeah, fun cameo. Gregory Scott Cummins, who plays Luther on Always Sunny, is a vampire who's never addressed by name, but in the credits is known as Big Ugly.
Yeah, but also I feel like Luther is a really great name for a vamp. So let's just call him Luther.
Will he just be Luther whenever he shows up the rest of this episode?
Yeah.
I like it.
So he brags that he was at the crucifixion. Spike's like, no, you weren't. No, you fucking weren't. If every vampire that said they were at the crucifixion was actually at the crucifixion, it would be like Woodstock, which I actually was at.
I love the idea of Spike at Woodstock.
Can we have that movie?
He's so rock and roll.
Can we have that fucking movie?
Here's what I'll say.
Spike at Woodstock? Come on.
Picking a favorite line for this one was hard because nearly everything he said was fucking brilliant and amazing and funny.
Yes.
And he took the Slayer speak, the Buffy speak to the next level.
Yes.
And he's so charismatic. He's so fun to watch. And they do we know everything we need to know about this guy in his first 3 or 4 lines.
Yeah. We also, what I truly did not remember is, later on, spoiler alert, we learn that William, before he was a vampire, Spike, before he was a vampire, was a poet. They introduced that immediately, not explicitly, but
he's not
the
reciting
way
sonnets, but
he talks is extremely poetic,
flowery
lyrical,
language,
flowery, creative. So I just thought that was really interesting. Like, chicken or the egg? Did they see that they had an actor who could deliver this type of dialogue really effectively? Because not every actor could have deliver some of the lines that he has. Or did they already know that pre-Spike William was a I don't know.
He's just so fucking cool.
Great. And then here comes Drusilla. She's so strange looking, but you can't look away from her.
She's gorgeous. She is strange looking, but she's not like hard to look at. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
But she's odd. She looks stunning. She's a vision. She's in like a little white princess nightgown.
Mm-hmm. And what I love was like, Spike is in vamp face this whole time. As soon as Drew comes in, his face softens and his face devamps. And I just thought it was like so lovely to present us with a vampire that's not ensouled like Angel, but has like emotions and softness and vulnerability. Like, how gorgeous is that?
He's her caretaker. He puts his coat around her, very chivalrous when she says she's shivering. Their dynamic is so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The vampires have been, except for Angel, completely expendable, completely dime a dozen, no personality.
Yeah.
No, even the master was kind of boring.
Yeah, this is the first vampire that we have seen, season 2, episode 3, that the audience will be bummed if Buffy kills him.
Right. He's interesting. He's scary. He's so fun. He was such a breath of fresh air. And I was just so excited because I'm like, wow, we're barely into season 2. It means I get another like 6 years with this guy.
Yeah.
So I'm very into it.
So he says, we're moving in. Also, I'll take care of your Slayer problem for you. Steve Jobs Jr. is like, great. Awesome. And Spike has what I think might have won for my favorite line, even though it was like very difficult to pick one, but I'll talk about that.
Mine's in this scene too. I wonder if we picked the same one.
Yeah. Let's go to the slumber party at the summer house with Buffy and Joyce. Buffy did not tell Joyce about the student teacher. Wait, what am I saying? Parent teacher night. But Joyce found out about it, so she's mad. And, you know, Joyce is basically just saying like, don't fuck up. We had to move. It was stressful. Don't do it. And then Joyce delivers the ultimate death blow. I don't want to be disappointed in you again.
Disappointed!
Ouch.
Yeah, that's a lot to put on a kid, especially if the kid is teetering on being troubled and or if you think there's a real possibility of disciplinary action or expulsion or any of this, to drop that weight on that kid was frankly a dicey mom move. She was being explicit about her expectations, but I feel like you almost you talk about jinxes. That's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy,
right?
You run the risk of that ensuring that the thing you don't want to happen happens.
I see what she was doing though. Like I see that she was like, now we know obviously that like Buffy's not a bad kid and she had no choice. But I do feel like what she's doing is like, here are the direct consequences of your actions, which we have already had to experience, moving to a new town, having to transition. And a lot of times, like when you are dealing with kids, part of it is that they can't fully comprehend what the future.
They can't see past themselves. Yeah.
Right. So I actually disagree. I feel like this is Joyce being like, I have a clear example of how your choices affect our life.
Right.
And if you don't want to have that happen again, here is how you have to behave, basically.
No, setting expectations.
Yeah.
We also learned that Joyce does run the gallery. She had to start a new business. So she's not just like an employee at someone else's gallery.
Which is so
She's
stressful.
in charge of picking all the big dick statues.
Yeah. Sheila doesn't show up the next day to paint the sign for parent teacher night. Buffy is trying to do 3 things in one night, which is my nightmare. Like a packed schedule like Buffy has is my nightmare. She wants to study at the Bronze, also do parent teacher night, and also will have to patrol and have a social life.
Yeah. And you know, I'm going to take my studying to the Bronze where it's distracting because I'm hoping to run into Angel.
Right.
She's spinning plates,
my
as
nightmare.
They say.
This is my nightmare.
And
I want one plate on a table.
Yeah, no spinning.
Yeah.
One plate. I mean, frankly, that kind of schedule is why we're recording first thing at the crack of ass in the morning.
And I hate it. So Giles and Jenny then come up, otherwise known as Giles with a J. And they're talking about St. Vigius. So they're warning Buffy about Saturday night. Saturday night is when St. Vigius's feast or whatever is. So they are predicting that there's going to be some shenanigans that night. And we get our first slave reference in this episode.
Yeah, we get some weird, there's some weird racial stuff.
So basically I'll explain what the line was. So Giles is about to say, you are the Slayer after all. But Snyder is there. So he says, you're all slaves to the television. And I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Whatever.
In isolation, not a problem.
Yeah.
But these things start to accumulate. And we're going to talk in Trivia Equipped
yeah,
a little bit about an article that I read that I'm going to share. Talks about the treatment of Black characters on this show.
Yeah.
And
spoiler alert, it's not great.
Having just read that and then watching this episode, there was definitely like a few moments where you go,
Sheila eventually does come in super fucking hungover. And I was like, I feel like I can smell her. Like I can smell how fucking hungover she is.
Yeah.
But Buffy, instead of being like, Snyder, look at this dumb bitch, she's like, oh, you've been so helpful, Sheila. You're here.
She's covering for her, which is just Buffy's nature. That's just her character. She wants to help people.
She's no Snyder.
Even people that are potentially tanking her and getting her in trouble. Because I think it would have been the easiest thing in the world. It would have been a little petty, but understandable if she had been like, the fact that you're fucking up makes me look better. If he's going to expel one of us, it's not going to be me because I'm the one here with paint on my face.
Yeah.
It's going to be you with egg on your face.
Right. And a little bit of vomit.
And a little bit of vodka.
Yeah. So
Breakfast of Champions, vodka and eggs.
Oh my God, that really just made me gag a little bit. Oh God, what if I had just like thrown up?
You've never had a Bloody Mary whilst eating eggs at a brunch?
Of course I've had a Bloody Mary whilst eating eggs at a brunch.
It's not that different.
I was picturing like plain scrambled eggs and a shot of vodka. So like I think that's where you lost me. But what you said makes more sense.
Yeah.
I do love a Bloody Mary.
After, you know what? Let's land this plane. We'll go make Bloody Marys.
Okay. So now we cut to Buffy studying at the Bronze, which I'm just like, I can't even read in the same room as Arik breathing. Like,
This is true.
I don't know how anyone is studying
with a band playing a fucking banger of a song. That song's awesome.
It's just like you can't even hear each other talk. Like, it's crazy. It's an insane premise. Specifically, the treatment of the Bronze is what makes me think this is just a fully alternate universe on a different planet where like it's almost all the same except for weird shit like kids can study at a nightclub.
Yeah, kids can go into a nightclub that serves alcohol and muffins.
Yeah.
And study and dance and do all the things.
Yeah.
And speaking of dancing, Xander is in rare form. I don't know how you get studying around with those moves going on right behind you.
Though I will say this, breaking the fourth wall a minute. Dancing as an actor in a scene is so fucking embarrassing. It is so I can't really even express to you how embarrassing it is unless you're just in it. So Xander is doing this very stupid, silly dance.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that is the best way to get through it. Because if you're trying to dance actually, it's so embarrassing. It never looks good because there's not actually any music. So everybody's dancing to like a different, I hate it. I want to die. This is so embarrassing. So Xander, I think, is just being like, I already feel stupid. I look stupid. Let me stupid it up.
Also, you pointed out a guy dancing in a red shirt in this scene.
Oh God. But I think he was doing the same thing. Like, he's like, I've never been so embarrassed in my life. Let me just lean into it.
You could also take Allison Hannigan's approach, which is like, oh, I'm making a character choice that my character doesn't dance, so I'm just going to stand around awkwardly.
Yeah, honestly, it's so terrible.
And also,
but
weirdly,
I love this band.
I did too. And also, weirdly, the drummer is very clearly not playing.
What was
the drums.
he doing? Because every time you pointed it out, I missed it.
He was doing drum-like motions, but they're on a sound, like they're recording audio live, so he has to not actually. You can mime guitar effectively without making sound. You can't hit drums. So it reminds me of Nirvana going on Top of the Pops in the UK, where they were forced to lip sync and they only wanted Kurt to sing live. So as a protest, the band is very badly miming their instruments. So Dave Grohl is pretending to hit drums that don't exist over his head. This is what this drummer is doing in this thing.
Oh my gosh. All right. So Spike is also there, prowling hotly.
We could cut another super cut together like Hyena Xander, where you just talking about how hot Spike is. Every time.
I mean, he just renders me speechless.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
So, he needs to get Buffy outside. So he creates, I can't remember how he does it, but he basically there's a fight outside.
He says, someone call the cops. There's a big guy outside trying to bite somebody. That's my
perfect British accent.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Really nailed it.
I spiked it.
If you could, you know what? Why don't we just go back, and if you want to just hear that again for your own benefit, you can rewind that and hear a perfect British accent.
Flawless.
So
Buffy, of course, responds to the
and
the
so
call
does
for help.
Xander. So does, like, they all spring to action. Xander like grabs a stake from somewhere. So she fights a vampire in the back alley.
It's Big Ugly. It's Luther. McDonald.
Yeah. And she does a cool move. I don't think one is my best move, but you could tell now that she kind of she's starting to utilize a move while not everyone knows who she is yet. Like later on in the series, everybody knows who the Slayer is, so she wouldn't be able to do this, but she kind of like plays very demure, like you've bested her. So it kind of lures the vampire closer in, and then she does a fight move.
Sort of a rope-a-dope where you tend to be bested against the ropes to get your opponent to
Yeah.
come closer to you in boxing. And it also reminds me of a cat. Like when we see our cats play, for a long time, I thought the cat on the ground on their back was the vulnerable one, but no, that one's got use of all 4 limbs.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of what Buffy does is she's down on her back. So the vamp goes in for the kill.
Yeah.
She does a little kick and then like a little breakdance move to get up on her feet.
Xander throws Buffy a steak very coolly. And that's the end of Luther.
Yep. Big Ugly. R.I.P. In the arms of the angel.
And then Spike comes out from behind the dumpster, I don't know, with a slow clap. And I love that he's like, his goal is not to kill the Slayer quickly. His goal is to entertain himself while he does it.
Yeah.
And I just love that
And
as a character.
I don't remember where we learned this, if it's in this scene or if it's in the library prior or after this, but basically we learned that Spike has killed 2 Slayers in the last 100 years.
I think we learned it in the library.
But I don't remember if that's before this or after.
It's after.
It's after, okay.
But he specifically says, nice to meet you. I'll kill you on Saturday. On the feast of St. Vigia.
That's on the Evite, he said.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now Sheila comes out walking with 2 gentlemen by the distinguished names of Del and Dwayne. Listen,
Double D.
I don't mean to shame people for their given names. Unless your name is Del or Dwayne. The name Dwayne really bums me out, and I don't know why.
Why? The biggest associations with it for me are Dwayne Wade or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, 2 fucking awesome dudes.
I can't explain it.
What's the Dwayne you know of that's ruining this for you?
He's just kind of like derpy.
Derpy Dwayne.
Derpy Dwayne. Yeah. So like I don't have a person. And when you say like Dwayne Wade, I think, well, that's part of it.
Is that one's a tongue twister.
Yeah. Also like the name Rory. Like it just, don't tongue twist your name. Just make it easy. I could spend a whole episode on that. We can't talk about names. So her dialogue is so embarrassing in this. Sheila's dialogue.
Yeah, this will be highlighted in a later segment for sure.
So embarrassing.
And this girl, I think they were trying to go for like, what if we cast like a cracked out Drew Barrymore type?
Right.
Is what they were going for.
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
It's not.
This girl wasn't given a lot to do, but she doesn't do much with what she was given. And
yeah.
Unfortunately, every time she's on screen, like you're right, you can smell her and you just want her to go away.
Yeah, she's also like an absolute dumbo because like she's walking with Del and Dwayne and then some very hot guy, I mean, I can't blame her there, comes up to her and all of a sudden her double D's are dead. They're dead next to her. And she's like, I'm going to follow this guy that just killed Del and Dwayne. Well, like she's crazy.
In her defense, I don't know that she noticed her guys were dead. So, which is also insane.
That's also concerning. Like,
but I don't think she clocked any of that.
That's really concerning. That concerns me more.
Right.
So maybe she didn't even know that stabbing the horticulture teacher would end in death. Maybe she doesn't understand death at all.
She's separated or she's so wasted. Do you think Drew got drunk? Spoilers. Do you think Drew got buzzed drinking her blood?
100. Like in
what we do in the shadows.
We're
doing shots where they drink drunk people. They call it doing shots. They hold them up in the air and drink out of drunk people.
We drank the blood of some people, but the people want drugs. And now I'm a wizard.
I love that episode so much. Where they take the bear and oh my God, it's so funny.
And then he eats pizza and barfs himself into the sky.
Okay, I'm calling it now. On our Patreon, let's do a live watch of that episode.
Live or just a watch? We'll in some capacity, we will watch and comment on the Baron's Night Out.
Yes. Okay.
Promised it here.
So now in the library, this is where
we get some info.
We get some info about Spike because Giles is consulting his books.
Is this because we get a few library scenes? Is this the library scene where Jenny just ruins her perfect track record of outfits? I don't remember.
No.
Maybe
it is. I'm not sure.
We'll leave that out for now. I'm gonna give Jenny has had a flawless record until this episode. We'll talk about it in a bit.
So
at the library.
Yeah, so Willow is doing a great job on her style, by the way. But Angel comes in sneakily and hotly and is like, Spike is the baddest news of all bad news. Like, he's very bad. It's no good. I've known him for, 200 years or some shit or whatever. And
There's
they
a
also
reference
have
to that. They say at one point that Spike's a relatively young vampire. He's only around 200 years old.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. But we also have this cute little interaction between Angel and Buffy where she's like, I was waiting for you at the Bronze last night. And he's like, well, you said you might not be there. And she's like, how did you not know that was me playing it cool? You've been dating for 200 years. And Willow then does some quick math and says, even if you had 2 dates a year, that's 400 dates. Why do they call it a mace? To which I say, I would like to know why they call it a mace.
Yeah, and then why, given that is a mace, do we call the spray mace?
Trivia
crypt.
Okay. So Angel then disappears without a sound, and Xander says we should put a little bell on that guy.
Xander's hilarious in this episode.
He's great. He's really finding his gate.
And I think the writers are figuring out how to use him.
I agree.
I think the first season concentrated so much on his unrequited love for Buffy and him just being like, oh, he's the horny, unhinged teenage boy. Now we're just like, he's a little settled into himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's also just like kind of been through the worst with regard to getting rejected by Buffy and then getting humiliated by Buffy.
He's
sort
like,
of
can't be
put all
any
that
worse
behind
than
him
that.
now.
Yeah.
So now he's just a little more comfortable in his skin. And
I agree.
Is this the scene too? This is the problem with this show is one of my complaints is we have so many library scenes that I can't keep track of which happens when, but is this where he and Cordy do their thing?
Not yet.
That's later.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. First, we got to go to Drusilla's creepy doll lair.
This is very creepy.
And I actually had this thought. I wrote here, how did they ship all her dolls everywhere? Along with a wooden 4-poster bed.
Right.
Like.
And a Tiffany lamp.
In a Tiffany lamp. Luscious linens. Like, and because we saw that it was only Spike in the car.
That would be a good drag queen name.
What?
Luscious Linens.
Luscious Linens. I love that. It's free to any of our drag queens out there. You're welcome.
But no, I thought the same thing because when Spike drives up in that car, we see that Drew's not in the car. He's driving it by himself. So it must be like when you and your friends moved to California, there was 2 vehicles.
And Drusilla's driving the U-Haul.
Driving the U-Haul with all of the Victorian.
Like that's the only explanation. So we're just learning that like Drusilla is a little sickly as vampires go, and Spike really leans into the caretaker role. There's definitely like some codependency issues happening right now. And he's very concerned with making sure that Drusilla eats. And we see that he has left a snack for her, and the snack's name is Sheila.
And he also mentions that being near the Hellmouth will help restore her to full
so that was why they
power.
came here in general.
So like there's people that go to Arizona because they believe the magnetic poles or something are supposed to have healing properties.
In Sedona, Arizona. Yeah. So then she eats Sheila.
Yeah,
which is great. Which it looked like she bit her
on the mouth.
Like
it was an accidental kiss. Like when you go to kiss someone on the cheek and they turn. And
but honestly, like I wouldn't put that past Drew. Like to feed off someone's mouth hole. Yeah, she's fucking weird. Man.
She is weird.
She's so weird. I can totally see her feeding
She's
off someone's mouth
biter.
hole. Yeah, gross. Or she like sucks on their tongue to get all the blood out. Keep it in your pants. I don't like the face.
You said that.
No, but the face that it gave you, that was like, ooh.
I was like, if someone mentions hobgoblins around Giles, I was like,
yeah, I didn't delete that. Overruled. Now we're back in the library and we're whittling weapons and macheteing cucumbers for the crudité. For parent-teacher night.
Buffy, this George Costanza say worlds are colliding.
Yeah. Cordy is there because she's trauma bonded to these people she hates.
But I noticed she could be anywhere in the room and she is Velcroed to Xander. They supposedly hate each other.
Yeah.
But that they're not, their mouths say no. Yeah. Their bodies are saying, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll share this line. It's such a great Cordelia zinger. Didn't make my favorite line, so I'll share it. Xander says, anyone else remember when Saturday night meant date night? And Cordy says, you sure don't.
It was great.
Zing.
So many good
ding.
lines in this, and not just from Spike. But
and that's where we get our next combo name, Zordy.
Zordy.
Zordy is very flirty. What would Spike and Drusilla be? Sprucilla.
You know, like Spoo.
Did you have a question about another combination?
Not
it's my favorite game, so let me know if you have any requests.
Is there also, there's people in the comments that this is their favorite game too. They love the portmanteau of smashing the names together.
Makes me so happy. I don't know why. Parent-teacher night. Buffy's making lemonade with no sugar. So Joyce appears, and Buffy needs Willow to take Joyce as far away from Snyder as she can so that Buffy can try to make it so that Joyce avoids Snyder the whole time, which I'm just like, I don't know how that's going to work.
I guess it's not a good plan, because if Snyder is really determined to talk to Joyce, he can drop in on her at work. He can call her into his office on a day that's not parent-teacher night. It's not like, oh, if the conversation doesn't happen tonight, the spell window has closed and it can never happen again. Like,
it was all a little silly.
He could write her a little late. We know that he can reach her by mail because that's how she got invited to parent-teacher night to begin with.
Right.
So
there you go.
Unless Buffy's planning on burning this school down, Snyder and her mom are going to connect at some point.
We then see time pass. It's 8:45, only 15 minutes left. She's managed to make it so that Snyder and Joyce have avoided each other down to the wire. This is where Cordy comes up and is mad that they've been whittling weapons for her in the library by themselves. And we have another fucking slave reference, dude.
Yeah, she's even
slaves get minimum wage, which they don't.
Yeah, that's the idea of a slave. But that's funny. That I think that reflects Cordelia's idea of what minimum wage is and how she's above it. She also reads her to filth about her makeup.
Yes, not wearing moisturizer, asking but seeing that Joyce is a glowing, gorgeous goddess and is like, did it skip a generation?
Yeah, the library is open.
Yeah, and Cordelia is reading. Whoops, Snyder found Joyce. Oh no. And Snyder is like, come with me. I gotta tell you about your shitty daughter. And Buffy's like, crap. Back in the library, this is where we get very specific information about Spike. We learn that he was referred to as William the Bloody, but got his nickname of Spike for torturing his victims with railroad spikes.
Which, again, are very blunt. These are not sharp items. So
yeah,
that's a horrific way to torture people.
Yeah, and then we also learn that he has killed not one, but 2 Slayers in this century alone.
Doesn't bode well for our current office holder.
Doesn't bode well for the buff. Joyce comes out of her meeting with Snyder, obviously annoyed because Lord knows what that little squirt told her. She's like, get in the car. Right then, Spike and the gang break in.
Also, Snyder pulls a dick move where it's 9 on the dot and there's still people mingling. He just starts shutting off lights on everybody. No announcement. Everyone finish your drinks.
He accomplished his goal.
So he's just like,
fuck off.
What a
he's
dick.
So the worst. Spike comes in and says, I couldn't wait.
Spike doesn't just come in, he bashes through a window.
Yeah, he's not like, knock, knock, hello.
And they go full Real Housewives on the table.
The man knows how to make an entrance.
Yes, he does. This is his second time he's made an entrance in this episode.
Yeah. Buffy totally takes charge of the hostages, hides everybody in their respect, they're the hostages of the vampires.
I suppose they're fleeing would-be victims,
sure,
or wouldn't be victims, right. I suppose.
Yeah. So we have a fight. I think my best move happens here, so I'm not going to talk about it.
That's fine.
But there's a great move. But then we have another underutilized black actor.
It's just basically an extra that shows up.
To be killed.
Like the bouncer in The Harvest.
Yeah. So he gets his neck broken, and then somebody cuts the power in the phones. I think one of the minion vampires does that. So now nobody can call for help. Though I'm like, who are you going to
Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Giles then sends Xander out through the back of the library.
There's an exit through the stacks for some reason.
I'm sure it's an emergency exit.
Yeah. But he's like, go get Angel.
Yeah. And Xander's like, womp womp. But he goes. Snyder assumes that these facially deformed, uber strong humanoids are just a gang on PCP.
Or does he?
Or does he? Yeah, that's very interesting. And this is, I can say, I won't say what it is till the end, but this is something I had never caught.
Ever.
Yeah. So tries to escape, but Buffy takes charge. And this is where we see that he's just a sniveling little snart, because he, as soon as someone like sort of alphas him, he can't measure up.
And this is where it becomes clear why the episode is called School Hard.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
Spike is now calling her creepily through the halls. And this is where we get a sense of like, he doesn't just speak. He sonnets. Like, he's got a beautiful vocab. I'm into it. Cordillo goes into the broom closet to hide. Giles in the library tells Jenny, he has a moment where I'm like, here's Buffy's dad. It's not Hank. It's Giles.
For sure.
He is so panicked about not being able to get to Buffy and is like, I don't care that I'm going to get concussed immediately. I still have to try to get through this because I'm her watcher. And it was just so sweet. And then Buffy falls through the ceiling, but Giles has is ready to decapitate whoever comes through the ceiling. And I just thought it would be so, like, if he just accidentally decapitated the Slayer. Was like, whoops. Well, okay.
Thank goodness he's useless in a fight.
Right.
And not able to affect any real change or do any damage to anybody.
Yeah. We then learn that Buffy's going to take them on one by one, John McClane style, like truly. Joyce is in her little hostage room, and we see where Buffy gets her chutzpah, because Joyce is now standing up to the pipsqueak as well, being like, my daughter knows what the fuck she's doing, you little dork.
And I at this point, I was fully preparing for, this is the episode where Joyce learns Buffy is the Slayer.
Right.
And miraculously, we get through this whole ordeal without Joyce ever knowing the full story.
Right.
She knows Buffy's capable. She knows Buffy took care of herself and helped rescue people, but doesn't learn the full
I mean,
facts.
I think if you don't even think vampires are real, that's a tough...
Yeah, you would never put that together.
Yeah, you'd never be like, is my daughter a vampire slayer? Like, that would just never...
Right.
So some idiot tries to escape and is immediately
killed instantly.
Snyder says, I'm starting to see a certain mother-daughter resemblance. Why, thank you.
Yeah, they're both foxes.
Yeah. Outside, Spike grabs an axe, like a fire axe or whatever.
He gives the axe to one of his minions, who goes Jack Torrance on the door.
Right. Zangel is now outside the school.
They find the dead teacher or
they
parent
find the
or
dead,
whoever
that person is. And Xander's like, what's the plan? And Angel grabs Xander by the neck. Obviously, we know where this went, but like, super fun for seeing that, where you're just like, have we been hornswoggled for a season and 3 episodes? Like, that was so good. Spike is now poking through the ceiling.
Again, very Die Hard.
Yeah. So a vampire is trying to get into where Joyce is. Buffy comes down and stakes him and tells mom, sit tight, don't open the door for anyone.
Talks through the little hole that the axe made in the door.
Yeah. And then here comes stupid Sheila, and she picks up an axe, and Buffy turns her back to Sheila. And the thing is like, presumably we can all assume that Sheila's a vampire, but even if she wasn't, don't turn your back to the girl who stabbed the horticulture teacher
right?
While she has an axe in her hand.
And this is absolutely a callback to that scene from Die Hard where McClane meets Hans, and Hans puts on the fake accent.
Yeah.
Pretends to be a hostage. John McClane gives him a gun and then turns his back. And that's when Hans reveals who he really is. So this is them literally stealing that scene from Die Hard and dropping it in here. But it was effective and it was fun. And you knew exactly where it was going, but it was
homage.
But it was well executed. I have a question about how long it takes people to turn into vamps after they're killed. Because there are times when someone has died, had a funeral, buried, and then she has to sit and wait for them to come back out. This presumably happened within a day or so.
I have a theory that it is a matter of amounts of blood and timing. I think that vamps know if I suck this amount of blood in this amount of time and then let them feed off me by this much, they will turn into a vamp that much more quick. Like, I think it's like vamp chemistry.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Sustained. Wait, am I allowed to do it or no?
No, and now you're held in contempt of court. Please give me my gavel back. Thank you. Overruled. This fucking guy. Wow, I'm so sorry, folks. Absolute chaos over here at Buffy Court. Order in the court. Okay. So that made you giggle so much. Okay. So Spike's wandering. Nope, not wandering. He's wondering. Spike is wondering.
You know what? Let's go back to the top. Let's do it again. We'll have fun with it.
Spike is wondering where Angel. Okay, sorry, I skipped a thing. You fucked me up because the court is a shambles now, and now I don't even know where I am on the docket.
It's a kangaroo court.
Jesus. All right. We meet a new character. Xander comes in, not with Angel. Our combo is now Zangelis.
Although Spike calls him Angelus.
Yeah.
As in Los Angeles.
Yeah, they must have.
They just hadn't landed on it yet.
So Angel is Angelist. Like he's ready to bite Xander. And Xander's like, what the fuck? Xander's in a fucking headlock.
And
well, they just have like a little chat. Like a really jovial little how's it been, guy? How's it going?
And it's fun because we are seeing stuff out of David Boreanaz that we have not seen.
Okay. So here's my theory. I think they saw fucking David Boreanaz walking a dog, right? And they're like, there is no angle from which thou canst be lit.
Now,
like,
to be fair, I do have to insert here that he had done a little bit of stuff. He had done an episode of Married with Children prior to that.
Right. But what I'm saying is like, he hadn't done anything where it's like, oh, this guy can act.
No, but he was pursuing acting. He wasn't plucked out of obscurity and stuck on a TV show.
Yes. But I feel like David Boreanaz really excels as sort of snarky, sarcastic, mischievous, dark Angelus more quickly than like he didn't find his footing as quickly as like a brooding, pouty, tortured soul.
I think he got into some coaching or acting lessons once he was cast because he's grasping at something in those first two episodes where he is trying to be sarcastic and aloof and quippy and it doesn't land at all.
Yeah.
But by the time we get here, he's such a different character.
He has found himself.
So fun. I think, I've seen TV before, so I think I knew this was a put on, but it's effective enough that you have to wonder, was he lying before? Is he lying now?
Yeah.
And it made the scene very tense.
Yeah,
and it was great. Xander is not convinced that this was a put on.
Xander
buys this fully on its face value.
Xander has been
bumpy face value.
Xander has been hoping for the opportunity to be like Angel's bad guy. Yeah. So Spike's wondering where Angelus has been all this time, hasn't seen him out on the killing field. Angel straight up says, I don't know exactly how he says it, but Spike refers to it as his Anne Rice shtick, where it's like, pretending to be this tortured vampire and befriending, so we're like, oh, fuck, we all got duped. All of us. He says he saw the Slayer kill the master, and that's why he keeps Buffy close. Keep your enemies closer.
Yeah, and he's like, if you think you take her on by yourself, have at it. But because Spike's like, why wouldn't you have just killed her already? Yeah. And he's like, well, she's scary.
She's good. Yeah. And so then he's like, do you want to grab a bite to eat of this guy that I'm holding? And they both go for it. And I'm like, are they just going to eat Xander?
They're playing a game of chicken right now, and they go well past when I thought they would have pulled out.
And then it's Spike who makes the first move and boofs Angel right in the face.
That word, I do not think it means what you think it means.
Oh, and this is where Spike has this like big speech about how brokenhearted he is that Angel is now Angel and not Angelus anymore. Like, he's a good guy. And he's like, you were my sire, dude. Like, and now you're like fighting for the other side, and calls him an Uncle Tom.
Again, so now we've got our third slave reference of the episode.
Yeah.
And it just smacks of 90s white guys without not examining the weight of these references, not examining what it means to just casually bring up one of the most horrific things that's ever happened in American history to help tell your vampire story.
Yeah. And
to modern ears, it feels very insensitive.
And that's not to say that you can't. It's just like, it was clearly done flippantly.
Yeah.
And without care. Like, we're not saying you can't use these references if they help the story, but you have to be aware of the weapon you're using.
Yeah, in 2025, to understand that you might be triggering people in your audience who have generational trauma and can trace their families back to this thing, and you just kind of throw in the word around.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing that would probably get done today.
Right. But at that moment, Buffy comes on the scene. Other vamps and Zangel run. Spike stays to fight the buff, and they both drop their weapons. And this is where I feel like the showrunners were like, we've hit gold. Spike, I think, wins for my favorite move here, so I won't say it. But then we had like a really close second, because as they're fighting, Joyce pops out and hits Spike in the head with the blunt side of the axe. And I actually wrote, I need to have a reason she didn't axe him in the head.
She's not a murderer. She thinks it's a person.
She thinks it's a person.
Yeah.
And so I got there pretty immediately. But at first I was like, oh, that's a dumb thing.
Because
like,
Buffy does the same thing. Buffy hits Sheila with the broadside of the axe and knocks her against the wall. And I'm like, well, she's vamp face. You should definitely have taken her off the playing field.
Yeah.
But Joyce not murdering Spike, who she thinks is a drug addict.
Yeah.
I can forgive that.
I agree. And so we won. And
Yay.
Joyce has a gorgeous Molly Weasley moment where she tells Spike to not fuck with her daughter. And Spike runs off. He realizes he's outmatched by the Summers women, which is just so hot. Cut to the cops outside the school.
Think there are actually police though. Let's celebrate that.
Yes, fair. And there are 2 dead bodies. Yeah. There's one on the lawn and the guy who got his neck snapped.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is also where we learn, and I learned in real time, something that I had missed every other time I'd watched this episode.
You've seen this show 12 times.
Probably just because like scenes with Snyder, I was just like every time. So like I just didn't care.
There are characters where I watch their scenes like that. It's not Snyder. I'll give you a list.
I have to go. But he says the conversation with the cop is basically like, do we tell the truth or say it's a PCP gang? And they're like, PCP gang.
Yeah, Snyder's like, what are you gonna do? Tell him the truth? Like that's
So I'm like, Snyder, fuck. But then I'm putting it together now because season 3 makes a little bit more sense to me now.
Okay.
But
I'm not there. I have no idea what happens in season 3.
Jenny doesn't want to avoid Giles, even though every time she hangs out with Giles, she almost dies. She's like, but I can't resist the tweed. I love it so much.
Yeah.
And she like puts her arm through his.
And you totally get it.
It's so cute. Yeah. Zangel is arguing about whether or not Angel was really going to let Spike bite Xander. And he's like, I couldn't make the first move. I needed to know that he was buying it. And Xander says, well, what if he had bitten me? And Angel says, then I wouldn't know he bought it. Which, do we think Angel would let Xander die?
I don't. He's got a soul. I think he's a good guy, but I think he sees Xander as something of a rival.
Yeah.
It's somewhat forced, but it is a love triangle, but they have to tolerate each other and work together. So I think he likes fucking with Xander.
Joyce could care less that Snyder thinks Buffy's a troublemaker because she's proud of her, opposite of disappointed in her.
Yeah, she's capable and she can handle her own, and that makes her sleep better. Even if she's getting in trouble, she knows she can handle it.
Sunrise in the warehouse.
Yes.
With Spike and Drew. And Spike did not kill the Slayer, but he's decided he no longer has the patience to answer to the annoying one, which someone
Spike calls him that, but the kid at first is like, "You failed."
Yeah,
because Spike decides at first he's going to play nice. I got to get in with these guys.
Yeah,
I did just kind of
yeah.
My first big move
and
blew
now
up in my face, so I better go make nice.
And he actually does remark. He says how interesting it is to have a Slayer with friends and family.
Yeah.
So he's like, maybe she is more formidable for this very reason.
He says it's not in the brochure.
Yeah. But Spike is not one to defer to a child, no less, an annoying child even. And so let's get this guy out of here. We put him in a cage and we fucking burn him up.
Hoist him up into a direct beam of sunlight. That's a wrap on Baby Steve Jobs.
Yeah, season 2, episode 3. We kill a child.
R.I.P.
Yeah, he wasn't a child. He was presumably already dead.
Yeah, I was never clear on that. The Master did say at one point last season, when you were a mortal boy, meaning he's not now, but we don't know when he turned or what the fuck's
But I did write, puts him in a cage. Does the Anointed One have any fucking powers? Like, at all? He's burnable.
Well, he's a vampire. We've never seen him feed, but we presume he's a vampire. So sunlight burns him.
Yeah, but it's like, why is this fucking kid the Anointed? Like, why?
Yeah,
why are these guys like, this is so... And I feel like that's what Spike was doing. He's like, what are you guys doing?
Right. We can just pick this kid up
and throw him in a
cage.
Yeah. All right. So that's our episode. It was fucking great. Let's do...
I loved it.
Meeting of the Yearbook Committee.
Sunnydale High Yearbook Committee meeting now in session. What'd you have for best line? We'll start there.
Best line. Oh, Spike says,
I'll chop her into messes.
So great.
Like, chop her into bits, chop her into pieces, chop her into messes. Poet he is.
They really nailed his voice from the jump.
Yes.
Everything he said. I was taking notes, jotting down some thoughts afterwards, or like even clocking into my head while we're doing the watch along. And I could have picked anything he said as a favorite line. I actually did have a tie though.
Okay.
One is Spike, who says,
any of you want to test who's got the biggest wrinklies round here? Step on up.
The biggest wrinklies. Again, he could have said balls, nuts, cojones.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Second one of my tie goes to Joyce.
Ooh, what was it?
I think it's Joyce's first time winning. She won a most likely one episode.
Yeah.
But Buffy says, what can you even tell about a person from a test score? And Joyce says,
whether or not she's ever going out with her friends again.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
I love a good mom zing.
Yeah.
Worst line.
Worst line was that Uncle Tom line. It just was irresponsible. I didn't like it.
Yep. Mine went to Sheila when she's with Del and Dwayne.
You guys weren't lying about having a Cadillac, were you? Because I'm crazy about a cat.
What fucking teenager has ever said anything even remotely resembling that?
That was up there with Neg Paz from the pilot.
Yes.
Chatter in the calf is that she got kicked out, and that's where her mom had to get a new job. Neg Paz, she was starting fights. Neg Lee.
It was like,
that was atrocious. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Best dressed. Who'd you have for best dressed?
I had a lot of nominees for this one, but it's going to go to Willow in her black overalls and pigtails and a t-shirt.
I think that's fair. I think it's a perfectly valid choice. I, again, have a tie. should have called this episode School Ties.
Yeah.
Drew in her princess nightgown.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time we see Jenny in her swundress.
Swundress.
And then we see Jenny in her sundress and sweater.
Yes.
I thought she looked fantastic. Although her unblemished record is about to be tarnished. Who'd you have for worst dressed?
Xander's cheap Hawaiian shirt that he got at like Aeropostale. So dumb.
Kind of, yeah.
Or like Roxy.
Or just like one of these like surf themed outlets at the mall.
Yeah, like poser surfers.
Yes. I got for worst dress, Jenny's wearing this doo-doo brown thrift store Wednesday Addams shirt that looks like it has like slices of roast beef around the collar.
It's Bad News Bears.
It was one of the worst things I've ever seen on the show. And to put it on Fashion Plate Jenny, I feel like someone on the costume crew was mad at her.
I
would have refused to come out of my trailer in this thing. It was terrible. What'd you have for best move?
I had a 3-way tie, but I ended up picking one. So first one was Willow grabbing that super heavy bust and hitting someone, just because I love when characters are like, I'm not strong enough, but I can like enhance my strength with this.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so great. And then it was also Joyce coming in the clutch with Spike, but Spike is our winner for punching through a wall. And us thinking, oh, how silly. He punched through a wall when he meant to punch through Buffy's face, but he makes the best of it. He makes lemonade punch out of lemons and pulls a beam out of the wall to use as a weapon.
What in the Wile E. Coyote bullshit was
It
this?
was perfect. No notes.
It was so dumb, but I loved it.
No notes. Yeah.
I had a tie again. I
Okay.
can't make up my mind. I liked
know,
so
what
much
is your
about this
deal?
episode. Best move, Angel's Ruse, where he pretends to be Angelus and bro up with Spike. And then Spike throwing the little brat in a cage and hoisting him into the sunbeam.
Thank you. Thank you, Spike.
Yeah, that was
Appreciate you.
amazing. And then lastly, what did you have for most likely?
Most likely to have been a hall monitor in high school, Principal Snyder.
Very nice. Mine is not very creative, but I'm just speaking from the heart. Most
Okay.
likely to be my new fucking favorite character, Spike.
Love it. All right. That's it, everybody.
Yeah, so before we go, thank you again for checking us out. Click like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you're watching on YouTube. If you're just listening to us, give us a 5-star review. Write something nice about us. Be sure and subscribe there as well. Check out our Patreon, $5 a month. Check out our other show starring her and Kim Burns, produced by me. It's called Kim and Ket Stay Alive Maybe.
You're also going to see a special guest in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we're going to have Kim here joining us for an episode coming soon. So clock that. But they're on all the social media at KK Sam Podcast. And you can listen to them every Wednesday with new episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. We're at Major Slayage Pod on all the on most of the social media. We're not on X.
Yeah.
We're not on.
You know who's on X?
We're not on Friendster.
You know who's on X?
Losers. Snyder. Yeah, we're not on Truth Social. There's a few that
He's also on Truth Social.
we're not on Rumble, but we're on a good many of the social medias.
Is Rumble an answer to Tumblr?
Rumble is right wing Twitter. Twitter is right wing Twitter. So Rumble is I don't know what the fuck that is, but at Major Slayage Pod, check us out there. We are going to get out of your hair. We'll see you next Monday for season 2, episode 4. Join our Patreon if you want to see the trivia crypt and the watch alongs. And that's all I got.
All right. So until next
time,
week,
dust you later.